hang on just a little bit till I hear from either IT or Vicky. But it is 4 o'clock.
And we are live.
Okay. In that case, call the Sacramento Housing and Redevelopment Commission to order for the January 19th meeting. Because we're on Zoom, comments may be emailed to publiccomments@shra.org, and they will be read into the recording during the meeting. Comments may also be made by phone by dialing 888-970-1444. To comment during citizens' comment agenda item, please call after the roll call has ended. To comment on a specific agenda item, please call at the beginning of that agenda item. We request that all commissioners and staff keep their microphones muted unless they're speaking. And I'll be, of course, asking for comments from each member on each item as we go through the presentations and business items. Please use the raise hand feature if you can. Vicki, roll call, please.
Commissioner Amonfor?
Here.
Boyd? No. Morgan?
Here.
Nunley?
Unmute.
I muted myself, I'm sorry. Here.
Osney?
Here.
Ross?
Here.
Schumacher Hodge?
Don't be locked in your office.
Not here yet. Stajabu?
Here.
Commissioner Wu? Not here. Okay. I think we have 1, 2, 3. Yeah, we have a quorum.
All right.
Commissioner Starks and Commissioner Wu, I don't think are on yet.
All right, thank you. Any changes to the agenda? Seeing nobody jumping up and down and screaming except for Martin.
Yeah, I was trying to get my
I always
set up. There we go, until I can get my other access going.
I always say jumping up and down, and it's just I said that started. So, but no, it changes to the agenda, so the agenda is set as submitted. Citizens' comments. Vicki, can you read the comments paragraph, please?
Sorry, would you? I'm having trouble with my computer. Would you mind reading that, Gail?
I don't have. Let me see if I can pull it up real quick.
I can probably pull it. I apologize. I'm having some last-minute IT issues.
While the commission welcomes and encourages participation in the commission meetings, please limit your comments to 3 minutes so everyone may be heard. SHRA provides opportunities for the public to address the commission at this time in order to listen to opinions regarding non-agendized matters within the subject matter and jurisdiction of SHRA. Consistent with the Brown Act, the public comment period on the agenda is not intended to be a question and answer periods or conversations with commission members. Members of the public with questions are encouraged to contact staff before or after the meeting. Members of the public wishing to provide comment should either email comments to publiccomments@shra.org or present them verbally by calling 888-970-1444. Are there any public comments at this time?
There are not, and thank you. I think all my issues are resolved.
Okay. Cool. That will take us to approval of the minutes. Any corrections or changes, additions to the minutes? Seeing none, the minutes are approved as submitted. We have one item on consent, that being Brown Act remote meeting during state of emergency. Any comments submitted for this item? Okay. I'll take a motion and a second.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Cecile.
Second.
And second by Stajabu. Vicki, roll call, please.
Amonfor,
Aye.
Commissioner Boyd is still not here. Morgan,
Aye.
Nunley,
Aye. I keep
Oswald?
forgetting.
Aye. Ross,
Aye.
Makarhaj,
Aye.
Sajabu,
Aye.
and Commissioner Starks and Wu. Oh, Commissioner Starks, there he is. All right. Okay, motion carries.
Great, thank you. That takes us to business items. The River City Trio Tax Equity Fiscal Responsibility Act hearing and approval of tax exempt bonds.
I think, Chair, you skipped over our presentation.
I did. It's not on this piece of paper.
Oh, sorry.
Not might because I was editing something and I forgot to put it back in there. My apologies. Presentation, Housing Choice Voucher Waitlist Opening.
Okay.
Thank you.
So, as many of you may know, we opened our wait list, and so we have Sarah O'Daniel here is going to give a presentation and give you a lot of good information about it.
Good afternoon, Chair Morgan and members of the Commission. I am Sarah O'Daniel, Deputy Executive Director here at SHRA. We started this year off with a bang in the HCV department. We opened up our waitlist for our tenant-based program, as well as some additional waitlists as well. I just wanted to take a few moments just to give some background for some of the commissioners that are new to our agency. Here, our Sacramento Housing Authority, we oversee a very large voucher program. In fact, it is the 5th largest in California. And we house over 13,000 households, which is close to 40,000 residents on any given day through our various programs. We serve low-income households comprising of the elderly, the disabled, veterans, homeless, and many other households who just need a hand up in life and need a place to stay. So how the program works is that we receive funds from HUD. When a family is placed on the wait list, once they get the voucher, when they're pulled off the wait list and they receive a voucher, they can go anywhere in Sacramento County and find a unit to live, as long as the owner is okay with it and passes in the inspection. It could be an apartment, a house, duplex, all options for our households. In fact, we work with 3,500 landlords to house our families currently who are on the program. How the program works in a nutshell is that the tenant pays 30% of their income towards the rent, and the housing authority uses the HUD funds to pay the rest of the rent. So this is a huge benefit, not only to the households who are struggling to get by, but also it is guaranteed income for our landlords. Currently, our program is full. And so for the most part, what we are doing is pulling families off our wait list when we are backfilling for those that have left the program. They've passed away or they're not on the program anymore. And so for the most part, this wait list, which is called the tenant-based wait list, is closed normally for the last 3 or 4 years. In fact, the last time we opened up the wait list was in 2018. And at that time, we received approximately 43,000 applications, and we placed 7,000 of those on the wait list through a randomized computer process. So last Wednesday, because our wait list is getting low in terms of families on there, we opened up the wait list last Wednesday, January the 12th. And this wait list currently is set to close next week. So we usually keep it open for a short period of time, and it is currently anticipated to close on the 26th at 11:59 p.m. Everything currently is being done online, and we have a call center staff who are there during business hours to help those that need assistance in filling out the applications or just answer the questions. The applications are also translated into a variety of different languages: Russian, Vietnamese, Spanish, just to name a few. And it really doesn't matter if you apply on the first day or on the last day, because again, it's based on this computerized random selection process where you place 5,000. So it's not too late for our families to get onto the wait list. What is also important is, as you're getting the message out to members of the community, is that this is free. And it's very, very important that our families go to www.sacwaitlist.com. We have been receiving a lot of phone calls initially where families are just Googling and saying Section 8 waitlist, and they're going to some other waitlist. And we want to make sure they go to the correct waitlist, sacwaitlist.com, and it is free to apply. There is an income threshold of families need to meet, so they cannot. So for a family of one, we have this all on our website. A family of one cannot earn more than $31,750, and a family of two, $36,250, and for a family of four, $45,300. All of this information is on our website. So with that, I'd like to conclude my presentation, answer any questions. Things are moving well right now. I was just checking the numbers. We have over 10,000 that have applied, but we definitely need more families to apply.
All right. Thank you. Questions of commissioners? I see Martin got your hand up.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you for the presentation, and congratulations on your new role there.
Oh.
So my question has to do with, I didn't get to write down the closing date. So that's one question. And then the second question, let me stop there. And what was the end date? They have to apply by when again?
January 26th. So that's exactly a week from today.
By midnight or something, by 11:59?
11:59. Mm-hmm.
Okay, January 26th, 11:59. Second question is, do folks have to reside in the Sacramento County area presently in order to apply? And then then the second part is, I know that historically, maybe there's a lot of vacancies out there right now, but last year, people, just because they had a voucher, it didn't necessarily make it easy for them to find housing. And so that was something that was, encouraging that they were able to get it, but discouraging that it's not so easy to get that. So one, I think you may have mentioned that there's help, around finding that housing, or they have all these multiple options. But secondly, once you get a voucher here from Sacramento County, can they go to other adjacent counties or anywhere in the state?
That's a lot of questions, so I'm going to make sure I write them down. I think your first question, Mr. Ross, was related to, can any people from outside Sacramento County apply? So anyone can apply. And in fact, was very interesting. I was looking at some of the statistics, and we have people applying from San Francisco, LA. We also have some, or I shouldn't say apply. I would say they're looking and they're on our website. They may have applied. I don't know that yet. But we also have people looking on our website right now on the wait list from the United Kingdom, from Germany, from Singapore, from around the world. So anyone can apply. However, we do give preference for households that who live or work or have been hired to work in Sacramento County. So that is one of our preferences. So that answers that question. In terms of whether they can move outside the area, a family, once they get the voucher, they can live here in Sacramento County, and they can inform us after they lease up that they want to move, or what we call port out to another jurisdiction. And then we work with the housing authority where they want to go so that they can port out. So that is an option for the families. And was there a third question?
It had to do with, thank you, those were good. So it had to do with assistance in finding housing, because I heard that it's not necessarily so easy. It's a triumph celebration to get the voucher, but then there's some more hard work to do. And even those that are working really hard are finding it difficult to land that housing. Is that something you're aware of, and is there assistance that SHRA gives for that?
So, yes, you are absolutely correct. You know, the first step is to actually get the voucher. The second step is actually to find the housing. We have been prioritizing homeless households as part of our program because that was the direction we received from the city and the county a few years ago. And working with our homeless population, they are usually linked to service providers. And so we really work closely and have them as the third party for our homeless households to help them find housing. So we really are relying a lot on our partners to help our households find housing. We did have an incentive program with the CARES money last year, but unfortunately, we don't have those funds right now. So we really are relying on partners to help our households find housing.
The other thing too that I would like to mention is leasing in place.
Yes.
So one of the things that we tell families, if they are currently renting and they obviously probably would be in a situation where they're rent burdened, where they're paying more than 50% of their income towards rent, the best option is to go to the landlord and say, hey, I've now received this voucher. Will you accept the voucher? And then the landlord can then accept the voucher, and then their rent would go down to 30% of their income. And so then they're leased up. So it's like, I always encourage, if you can lease in place, lease up with whoever your existing landlord is, if they want to participate in the program, and then start to think about, you know, after that lease is up, which is usually about a year, is looking for other housing. So it's easier to find housing, you know, when you don't have the pressure, you know, of trying to get something immediately.
That's great, Executive Director Dozier. So my question with that is, so, and I didn't know that. So if they're, for instance, they were able to rent a room and they're leasing that room, then they could go to that housing provider and say, hey, could I lease in place with the room that they're renting?
If it's a room, then that's a different issue, because then we're starting to talk about shared housing.
Okay.
And it's not that it's impossible, but it's possible to do that as well. But I was also referring to if you just happen to be leasing just an apartment or house or whatever and struggling to pay the rent, which is why you would be applying for the housing choice voucher. But yes, they can do that.
Okay, thank you. Thank you both.
Mm-hmm.
You're welcome.
Okay, we'll move on to Commissioner Nunley. Go ahead, Cecile.
All right. I believe I'm unmuted. Okay. I was just going to ask, because you mentioned that the wait list was last open in 2018, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. And so at any given point in time, or roughly, how many people are on the wait list, just out of curiosity?
It really depends on, you know, when exactly you ask. Like right now we have a few hundred left, but we usually pull families in batches of a few hundred because you can't always find the family. So you need to pull a few hundred at a time, and we're getting really low. So at this time we have a few hundred left.
Okay. And then what is the average, just roughly, that people spend on the wait list? I'm just curious. And that may have changed, I know, depending on the circumstances. Circumstances in 2018 are totally different than circumstances since the pandemic and some of the other things. But I was just wondering, is there a trend? Is it getting longer, shorter? Where are we in that?
I feel I always have these wishy-washy answers because I don't have an exact
It all depends.
date. But I would say, you know, if we are able to exhaust the wait list and you come to the top based on the prioritizations, then it would be quickly. However, I usually say 18 months to 2 years potentially is the time frame that it might take to be pulled off this wait list.
Okay.
Or longer. It
Longer,
really
yeah.
does. Yeah, it really does depend. Because remember, we're issuing vouchers based on our turnover. So only as new vouchers become available that we then issue one. So especially during this time, during the pandemic, people are holding on to the housing that they have. versus, saying, oh, okay, I'm ready to, let go of my voucher and move on. So that can fluctuate, but usually it's pretty consistent for the most part, but we've seen it change from time to time.
And I imagine with the SHRA program, would that have it? I would imagine it would have impacted some of this, or no?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so.
Okay. All right. Those are just my few questions. Thank you very much. I appreciated the presentation. Good information, and also constantly sending the flyers so to let us know to get the word out. So thank you.
All right, we'll go to Commissioner Manfor. Emmanuel, you're up.
Yeah, hello. Just to piggyback on Board Member Nunley's comments, because those are a lot of the things that I was also thinking about. I think for me, I would just like to see the correlation as far as what programs we've actually been doing that's actually influenced this change where the wait list is open now, I think the SHRA 2 program, like you said, that maybe it didn't really have that much of an influence, but is there a way you can identify why the wait list is now open? I know it's usually due to turnovers of the vouchers, but is there a way that you guys can really identify what's changed for the wait list to be a bit more open now?
If I understand you correctly, is your question, are there different factors that influence why we're opening the wait list?
Correct. Yeah.
Do you want to handle that? We're the ones who determine whether the wait list opens or not. Right. And we determine whether the wait list opens or not, depending on how many people are on the existing list that's closed. So we have an existing waiting list that's closed because we opened that in 2018. So at that time, there were 5,000 people that we pulled. Now, it might be a little bit more or less, depending on how many were left over. But let's just say for a conversation, there were 5,000. So then we start working all of those individuals over these past few years in terms of issuing vouchers. Once the number starts to get down to a level that's low enough, then we're like, okay, we need to replenish that list, and then we open. Does that answer your question?
That's a lot more, that's very helpful, because I just wanted to understand whether or not there was other factors that are influencing it being open, because I think, I just want to celebrate some of the things that we've actually been doing to see if there was a correlation that, hey, something's really working where more people are getting opportunities. But thank you for that.
Mm-hmm. And we also place the number, the 5,000. We choose a number, so it's a number that we can serve within a period of time. So we don't place 10,000 on the list or 15,000 like some other jurisdictions do, because A, you can't find the people. And then also we want to serve the families within a 3 to 4 year period, which is also why we've opened it pretty much every 3 to 4 years.
Thank you.
Okay, I had a request for clarification. The 200 vouchers at any time as vacancy groupings arise. I think that was on the how many names you pull at a time to present. Maybe you could expound on that just a little bit.
Yeah, just a point of clarification. I think just so that both, since Sarah and I were kind of trying to, you got that one, I got it. Are you asking about, are there 200 vouchers when we pull 200 people? Is that the question? Or why do we choose 200 to pull from the list?
Both. Why do you choose 200?
So I'll just walk through the mechanics and maybe that can be helpful. Do you want to do it? Okay. No,
Great job.
So let's say we do this whole thing. We open the wait list. We take those 5,000 people. We put them on the list. Okay. So then now vouchers are becoming available because they're turning over, and so we need to pull families so that we can see. Okay, number one, can we catch up with you? You meet all the criteria. Everything's good. So that then we can issue vouchers. So we'll pull 200, but we know when we pull 200. That we may not get 200 families who really respond. And that's why it's very important that families keep their information updated. They need to keep their information updated because our biggest hurdle is trying to locate people when their name comes to the top of the list. So the 200, we know that some of those will either may not need the voucher anymore. They may have gotten a good job. They may have left the area. Any number of different things may have happened. but really it's locating that individual from that last known address that they gave us when they signed up. So if we can't locate you, that's why we're going to pull more than what we really need to issue vouchers, if that makes sense. So of the 200, there's going to be some that just don't respond. And then of the ones that do respond, then those are the ones that we start to issue vouchers to, for them to go and start looking for housing. Does that answer the question?
That answered the question. So
Commissioner Ross, I think that was your.
That does. Thank you for going through the process. That was my question, and that does answer it.
Yeah.
Gives some clarity. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm glad you asked that question, because that's one of the things we always talk about. We need to be able to locate you at the time that your name comes up. And so it's important for them to go into the resident portal or applicant portal, and keep updating their information if they move or change address or phone numbers, all those things.
it's really hard to call somebody at a number that they don't exist at anymore.
And that happens often.
Yeah. Okay. Is there any public comment, Vicki?
Not right now.
Okay. I believe that was all the questions. I don't see anybody else jumping up and down. So now we will move on to the River City Trio Tax Equity and Fiscal Responsibility Act and approval of a tax exempt bonds.
Okay. So we have Christine Weichert here is going to do the presentation.
There we go. So good afternoon, Christine Weigert from, make sure I'm in the screen here today. There we go. From Development Finance. The report before you requests approval to issue mortgage revenue bonds for the River City Trio. The River City Trio is a preservation project, which HUD has extended the Housing Assistant Payment Contract, or HAP contract, to allow Vitus Group, the developer, to secure funding to acquire and substantially rehabilitate the development. River City Trio consists of 3 scattered sites. The 1215 D Street property currently consists of 24 1- and 2-bedroom units. However, as required, a 1-bedroom unit adjacent to the existing leasing office will be converted to a community room for resident services. The 2410 C Street and the 2517 C Street properties each have 16 1- and 2-bedroom units, and each of the 3-bedroom sites were built about 50 years ago and consist of 2 2-story garden-style residential buildings. The scope of work will include a kitchen and bathroom remodels, LED lighting, ADA upgrades, new HVAC systems, and interior gas lines. Exterior renovations will include repair and painting of existing stucco, replacing windows, roofs, new waterproofing, irrigation, and landscaping. The rehabilitation will also improve new ADA accessible routes. The financing structure of the project includes 4% tax credits, a tax-exempt mortgage revenue bonds, conventional loans, and deferred developer fee. In addition, the project will have a new 20-year HAP contract from HUD, which will provide a source of income to supplement rents paid by residents. Vitus Group also is an experienced owner of over 100 affordable and market rate rental housing developments throughout the nation, and this is their first project in Sacramento. Aperto Property Management will be the proposed management agent and currently has more than 12,000 affordable and market rate residential units in their portfolio. And resident services will be provided by Embrace Foundation, and they're required to provide a total of 10 hours of resident services at the properties. So in closing, staff's requesting approval of the issuance of the mortgage revenue bonds and the rehabilitation of River City Trio, and staff's available to answer any questions you may have.
All right. Thank you very much. Questions of commissioners? I see Cecile, you have your hand up.
Always, I saw that 10 hours of community, I'm sorry, what did you call it? Community services that they provide?
Resident services, right? Services to the residents. In this case, most of them will be after school hours. I think 6 of them are after school because there are 2 bedrooms and there's some children in the development. So That's
Okay.
would be most of them.
Is, and that's 10 hours, I forget, is that per week? I know I saw it, I apologize, but is that
Yes.
10 hours per week? Okay, wasn't SHRA's typical at 20 hours per week, or do I have that incorrect?
No, you're right. So we have a sort of increasing amount of hours depending on the number of units. So 50 units and up is 10 hours, 100 units is 15 hours, 150 units is 20 hours. So it really depends on how many units are there.
Okay, all right, thank you. I was just wondering about that because it's not very many units, as you mentioned through here. And even when you put all three of them together, it's still not very many units. So this is the standard amount of community hours that are community services that they provide. Okay, thank you very much. That was just my question.
All right, we'll go to Commissioner Jasmine, go ahead.
I was wondering if there's specific examples of the type of services that are being offered within those 10 hours per week.
Well, usually when a new owner takes ownership, as this developer will, they do a survey of the residents to see what those residents would like to have. Again, SHRA has a minimum number of service after school hours if there are children on site. So usually, you know, if there's 15 hours of services required, we're going to ask for 10 hours of those to be after school services. So the kids have some place to go after school for homework help and things like that. But the other hours can be things, you know, English is a second language classes. If there's a lot of non-English speakers, there can be workforce and job training classes. There can be computer classes. There can be a wide variety of things. But it really depends on the resident service provider and the property manager and the owner to ask the residents sort of what they would like to do.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Russ.
Thank you. So I had a question about the resident service provider. So I think, and it kind of goes along with Commissioner Osmani's question a bit. I see how we vet the service, not the service provider, but the housing provider. What's the process that SHRA goes through with respect to vetting the service provider?
Really good question, because it's something we spend a lot of time at. You know, SHRA is very proud of all the vetting we do. We look at all the construction numbers. We have construction staff who reviews their rehabilitation budget and the scope of work. We have staff that specializes here in property management and reviews the number of property management staff that'll be there. Is it the right number of staff, the correct positions? Is the budget right for property management? We do the same thing for resident services. So we will look at the company. Do they have experience doing this? Do they have a good track record? You know, how many staff will they have? What level of staff? And so we've actually never worked with this one new resident service provider, but that's also exciting because you know, it's always good to get new people in Sacramento. But I have Brooke here from Avita, and maybe she would like to say a little more about Embrace, who is the residents you're going to use for resident services. Here, Brooke, you want to introduce yourself?
Sure, yes. Hi, my name is Brooke Shri. I'm with Vitus. I'm really excited to be working on this deal with you all. Embrace is a resident service provider that we are just starting to use. They are an arm of a nonprofit that is based in California. So they do have quite a bit of experience in California. I think this is their first in Sacramento, as Christine mentioned. So they're working on, you know, becoming familiar with SHRA's processes and just making sure that they're offering everything that Christine and her staff have vetted so far. That's really, you know, the gist of it. To Christine's point, we do want to make sure that we're not, you know, offering 4 hours of ESL training and nobody needs it. So at the beginning and onset of offering these services, we do extensive questionnaires and kind of just trying to gauge what the resident population would benefit from and would actually utilize, so that we're not just, having an empty room full of pencils and worksheets that aren't being used. So really excited to get Embrace going here. They're active all over the country, but like I said, based in California. So gonna be great.
And I should just add, Commissioner Ross, that not only does SHRA vet ahead of time, but we make sure those services are ongoing, and we ask for quarterly reports. We look at attendance. We see if the classes being offered are being utilized. And if not, then we work with the owner and the resident service provider to adjust those.
Okay, that's great. Thank you so much.
All right, I see Commissioner Boyd has his hand up, but you're not visible.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, I will be visible shortly. And yes, I had my hand up for a couple of questions. I did come in at the end of Commissioner Nindley's question in regards to the hours of service, and have heard all of the explanation post that. It may have been answered in her questions, but my question was the hours that are being presented, or excuse me, in the presentation. Excuse my throat here. That have been stated, sorry, at 10 hours a week. Now, in those, my question is, when are those hours? Are those hours, as it was stated, for 6 of those hours for after school, which would be Monday through Friday. So are hours available for parents who are working 9 to 5-ish? Are there available service hours after 5 and or on the weekend?
No, we usually ask our resident service providers just to provide after school, maybe from 3 to 5 p.m. On normal hours. It's not necessarily a babysitting services, it's homework help. So it is, and nothing on the weekends. However, the resident service provider may end up having things on Saturdays or Sundays. They might have an event that, I don't want to say a potluck because people aren't really doing potlucks right now, but they might have a, an event where they bring the kids together for a special movie thing or something like that, or outdoor play area. So there could be something on Saturday and Sunday. It's really what the resident service provider sort of recommends for those additional hours.
Gotcha. So just so I'm clear, so all of the services are 100% geared only for the, say, under 18 age limit?
No,
so
no.
Services,
okay, they could be the other non-after school hours could be for the entire family, adults only. It can vary.
That's what I just wanted to make sure. So with that said, again, if folks are working Monday through Friday, then 8 to 5, whatever-ish hours, will that service provider make sure that there are available hours on the weekend for those who won't be able to or can't be able to make it Monday through Friday?
They often have things on the weekends.
I'm sorry?
Yes, they often have things on the weekends. It really depends on the property.
Is there any way to put in a condition to that at least 2 hours or whatever is a common agreed upon time to guarantee weekend hours, again, for those parents who may not be able to attend Monday through Friday?
Well, I think what's important to note here, and something that we were talking about maybe before you came on, was the fact that it is customized based on what the needs of those residents are. So we don't want to be very prescriptive. And also that can change over time. We can see that, complexes that may start out with children, and a lot of these residents who are in these particular developments have lived there for a very long time. But you could end up having a population within this small group that you may have some seniors. So they may decide that, okay, we are going to do something for after school and we're going to do something for seniors. And that doesn't necessarily mean that it has to be on weekends. It could be during the day. So it's really what I really like about, how SHRA works with our providers is they're customizing it to really suit the needs of the residents. And so if there is a demand for something that is outside of a 9 to 5, then they're going to work with that community to make sure that they can meet that need.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to throw a quick comment in that in my work with a number of properties that have services like this by several different providers, that typically the service provider, that the person on site develops a plan for the property and works closely with the residents there so that they feel that they are effective. And so with that being the driving point, they're going to customize their hours to be what works for the most amount of people on the property to create the greatest good. And I've seen that consistently across both public housing and tax credit properties that I work with. Any other questions? Seeing none. Is there any public comment?
There is not.
Okay. In that case, I will take a motion and a second, please.
I make a motion to approve.
Was that Cecile? Did you motion? Okay.
Yeah.
And I need a second from Daryl Wu. Thank you, Daryl. Vicki, we have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Comunfort,
Aye.
Boyd,
Aye.
Morgan,
Aye.
Osmany,
Aye.
Nunley,
Aye.
Ross,
Aye.
Schumacher Hodge,
Sorry. Aye.
Sajabu,
Aye.
Starks,
Yes.
and Commissioner Wu.
Yes.
And the motion carries.
Thank you, Brooke, for being here.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That takes us to our next item of business, which is the election of the 2022 SHRC chair. So I will turn the mic over to Vicki.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. I just wanted to briefly review how this works. We do need to do it a little bit differently, just given the logistics of us all being on Zoom. So Gail, for both chair and vice chair, Gail is going to ask for nominations. And then once all the nominations have been made, the chair will ask for a motion to close nominations, which requires a 2/3 vote. The chair will then state who's been nominated and ask the clerk to conduct the election. In this case, what we'll need to do for the election is you'll need to go into your chat feature and send me a direct message. Don't send it to everybody, just send me a direct message. And I will count the ballots, and I guess I will send another direct message back to Gail with the result, and he will announce the result. So if that works for everyone, that's what we're going to need to do today.
You're gonna have to say that again, Vicki, or at least kind of give us a, first things first, kind of.
Okay.
So I will.
Well, now it's up to Gail. So Gail's going to ask for nominations, and we'll go from there.
Yeah. So I'm going to ask for nominations for each seat. We'll take those. We'll start with the chair position, and then I will direct Vicki to collect the votes. And at that point, everybody needs to send her a direct message in the chat feature. And
so we do the nominations first.
We do the nominations first. That way we know who we're voting for.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, it works.
And in the Rosenberg rule, we need to do a motion to close nominations. That was sort of why I read that out loud.
Okay. So with that, nominations for chair for 2022 are now open.
We just type them in, right?
I think
So everything's verbally till you go to vote. This is just the nominations itself. Everything's verbally right now.
I think
Yeah, I
Commissioner Ross has,
renominate Gail.
yeah. Commissioner Ross, I think, might have a question. Is that
Oh,
correct?
I'm sorry.
Go ahead, unmute, please.
No, I was going to make a nomination.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Okay. So Go ahead.
Commissioner Nunley?
No, I respectfully don't think I should be the one to do that, but thank you for the nomination.
Oops, I'm sorry. I was trying to lower your hand. I muted you. Okay. Any other nominations? Jabu.
I'd like to nominate Emmanuel, Commissioner Amofor.
I see a smile. I don't see a response. Accepted?
Oh, I guess I'll accept.
Okay, cool.
And Commissioner Starks, did you also, you nominated Commissioner?
I did. I nominated Gail, but I did it out of turn.
That's okay. We kept track here. Any other nominations?
I can I nominate someone also?
Sure.
I nominate Martin.
I keep unmuting myself. Thank you.
Okay.
You're one on my list too. Sure, I'll be on the list, but maybe I could be a vice chair too, you know, or whatever. Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you for the honor.
Okay, any other nominations? If we do this long enough, we'll get everybody nominated.
This is just for the chair, right?
This is just for chair. Okay.
So can I make a motion to close the nominations now?
You may.
I make a motion to close the nominations since we have, if I'm not mistaken, 4: Emmanuel, Martin, Morgan, and Ross.
That's 3.
It's 3. Emmanuel's Amonfor, that's his first name.
So Manford, Ross, and Morgan are your choices.
So I second to close it, whoever it is.
Okay.
Okay.
And we need
whoever they are.
2/3 vote in favor of closing nominations. Roll call, Vicki.
Okay. Amonfor,
Aye.
Boyd,
Aye.
Morgan,
Aye.
Osmany,
Aye.
Ross,
Aye.
Schumacher Hodge,
Aye.
Jabu,
Aye.
Starks,
Yes, close it.
Wu.
Yes.
Looks like I skipped Commissioner Nunley somehow. Okay. So motion carries.
All right, thank you. So everybody, please send your direct message to Vicki, who you're voting for, a man for Morgan Ross. We're looking for 10 votes.
Yeah, I was just counting. Okay.
And we got to let her add them up too before we jump up and down. 3, 3, and 3 with 1 abstention.
Well, we have a tie.
Okay.
So, I'm not sure. What do we
do
do
it again? Do we
with a tie, we would
take a second vote?
We do a second vote, eliminate the loser.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Not the loser, the unsuccessful
Sure.
So,
No losers in this crowd.
Well, I guess I just have to say it out loud. The individual with the lowest votes was Martin.
The loser.
So it would just be between Emmanuel and Gail. For the second vote.
Everybody please vote again, either for Emmanuel or for Gail.
Quick question, Vicky. My bandwidth is screwing up, so it's kind of coming in and out.
Yeah, I got yours, I think. I mean, I had 10 people vote, so I'll double check when I get through here.
Oh, no, I'm asking for right now. I didn't hear, you said Morgan and M4, what happened to Ross?
So Commissioner Ross got the least amount of votes, so he's no longer, so you need to either vote for Morgan or M4.
Text
okay, maybe
now.
Okay, so who got, so it was 3, 3, and 3.
No,
no, that was a joke.
Oh,
no.
Come on, man.
Yeah.
No problem.
She was still counting when I said that.
So now it's between the two.
No problem. Now I'm with you. Okay, man, this bandwidth has to. Anyway, that's another issue.
I was putting in just a bit of hilarity there while we were waiting for the count. The possible vote count.
I wasn't keeping up with you, Chair. My bad. Okay, so it's between Morgan and Amaford, correct?
Correct.
Yes.
Thank you.
I should hold my jokes till we're done.
Commissioner Boyd, were you going to submit another vote?
I did.
I haven't received it yet.
Make sure you've selected Vicky Smith as your recipient.
Yep, I did, and it's showing that it went through.
All right, now I got it. Thank you.
Blame it on Vicky's computer.
Yes.
And the drum roll.
Okay, so I'm happy to announce I'll be your chair for a 4th consecutive year. And with that, I open nominations for vice chair for 2022. And can I preempt everybody's nomination by nominating Emmanuel Amanfor for vice chair?
Can we all just vote on that? No, I'm just kidding.
Well, go ahead, Marisha.
Oh, I was just saying, if he got is it different? How's the role different, I guess? Maybe that would give me more context. But I was saying, could we just vote on him being the vice chair? But yeah.
We have to officially close
with our bylaws and with Rosenberg's rules, we will take nominations and vote.
Okay.
Otherwise, we have to do a vote to set aside the rules, which is, I think, a 3/4 vote to set aside the rules to go through, and it'd be quicker just to do it.
And it's anarchy.
So, nominations are open. I saw somebody had a hand up a moment ago, but I don't see it now.
So who's on the Vicky? Who do we have right now? Who's nominated?
Emmanuel.
Commissioner Boyd, your hand is up.
Thank you. I think I have mass hesitation. I don't know. I think I'm in a black zone over here. No pun intended. But I would like to nominate Commissioner Ross for vice chair.
That's funny.
I don't know if you heard me over Sam's heckling, but
no, I'm in that same zone, man.
Oh, gotcha.
I'm not going to say anything on that. Okay. Any other nominations? Marisha, go ahead.
I would like to nominate Commissioner Osmany.
Okay.
Thank you. I accept.
Cool. Any other nominations?
Likewise, thank you. I accept too. I didn't respond. Thank you.
I'm sorry, I should have asked you.
Always nice to be considered. Thank you. Thank you.
We love you all.
Any other nominations?
Make a motion to close nominations.
We have a motion by Nunley and a second by Wu. Vicky, roll call, please.
Amanpour,
Aye.
Boyd,
Aye.
Morgan,
Aye.
Nunley,
Aye.
Osmany,
Aye.
Ross,
Aye.
Schumacher Hodge,
Aye.
Stajabu,
She would say aye if she
Okay.
could take off
Dark.
her. Yeah, aye.
and Wu.
Yes.
Okay, nominations are now closed. Vicky, could you read off who the candidates are for me, please?
Yeah, the three candidates are Commissioners Ross, Osmany, and Amanpour.
Please submit your votes to Vicky by a direct message.
And just to clarify, it's a man for.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. It's like a man for, literally. Just like,
Amanpour. That's easier.
yep.
Than...
That's how it's spelled. Yeah.
Have you heard it pronounced Amanpour though? It seems like there's a character in history, Amanpour, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, I've heard people close prayers with amen and amen, so. But this is a man for any time.
There you go.
Gail,
Never forget it again.
Gail, don't quit your day job.
He's becoming his father, you know, like the cartoon. Don't be coy.
So, speaking of, do you know why God created policemen? So firemen would have heroes.
Voice.
Not too long.
I missed it. Why,
I know,
so firemen could work.
Still is loving that.
Gail, what was the punchline? You faded on my end.
It's so firemen would have a hero.
Well, I guess I was better off when it was faded.
Thanks.
So did you get the message, Gail?
I'm sorry, I did not. I do now. Congratulations to Emmanuel. You're the 2022 Vice Chair. Which means anytime I don't show up, you're the chair.
Thank you.
You can ask how well that works from Cecile. Cecile, you have your hand up. You're muted also.
I was trying to clap. I'm bad at.
Okay. Commissioner Boyd.
Thank you, former chair. To Commissioner Emmanuel. In response to former Commissioner Morgan's statement of when he's absent, that would be 0 in 3 years. Just a FYI.
I'm glad.
I think Josh had the same experience the first time I served as chair. So maybe once. So that takes us to, unless there's Marisha.
Oh yeah, quick question. Congratulations, first of all, Amanda for. Is this nomination every year? Is it on a yearly basis? Okay.
Yes.
Cool.
So that takes us to the executive director's report.
Okay. So just wanted to again thank Sarah for the presentation talking about opening the wait list, but really a big thank you to the staff. It is a huge, huge lift whenever the wait list opens. The number of calls that we get and also making sure that we're doing all the outreach into the community and managing all of this really, really is a huge, huge effort. So this is kind of a really big deal. For the waitlist opening. So a big thank you to the staff for all the work that they're doing on that. And I just encourage all of you to make sure that you communicate to everyone you know out there in the community that this list is open. It is rare that it opens and it's an opportunity. Even if people feel, oh my gosh, why should I bother? Really, it's just something that, what do you have to lose, especially if you qualify for the program. So I encourage everyone to make that application. And then the other thing I also wanted to mention, and we'll talk probably more about this at later meetings, is our emergency rental assistance program. And I really just want to manage the expectations out there in terms of kind of the volume. And really our volume has just increased dramatically. With the lifting of the moratorium, we saw a 60% jump in applications. And so we are really just inundated and we do prioritize those applications. So, some people say, well, I applied and I'm still waiting. Other people are getting help before me. It is not a first come, first serve. We are prioritizing those people who have a pending eviction. So those are the ones that we want to make sure that we keep people housed. And then we're also doing targeting for those people who are at that 30% AMI and below. So those who are most vulnerable. So, you can't just go by, oh, when did I submit my application? We are constantly doing that juggling and prioritizing, but we have been absolutely slammed with the number of applications. I think we've received over 30,000 applications total between the city and the county. And in addition to that, our volume at the call center more than doubled. We were receiving 1,000 calls a day. Now we're getting over 2,000 calls per day. And all of this is to ask for people, their patience and understanding that we're working as hard as we can to get through all of the applications as quickly as we can, and also managing the dynamics of when we receive the money. So it's not a situation where we receive kind of a whole big batch of money and it just comes to us. It comes in I wouldn't say dribbles and drabs, but it doesn't come all at the same time. So sometimes we're in a situation where we literally have gone through all of the money and we're still waiting for the state to send down kind of the next tranche of funding. So, there's all these different dynamics that we're managing. And I know that there is frustration from people out there and rightfully so. But please, in your travels and discussions, make sure people understand that, we're working really, really hard to get around to people as quickly as we can. But it just, exploded after the moratorium lifted. And we still continue to receive hundreds and hundreds of applications. So just want to make sure that we're getting that word out there and communicating to people where we are. And so those are the main things, and I'm available for any questions that you may have.
I see Martin has his hand up.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Yes, my question is similar to last time where the subject comes up. I know and I know Commissioner Manfor was mentioning it and so forth. There's maybe others. Just it probably brings up some level of anxiety. Probably high levels of folks that may be receiving those notices from their property owners that, hey, you're in a situation. So but what I did find was a big relief and some comfort, and I've been conveying it to individuals and staff and so forth that I work with, is to let folks know not to panic, not to self-evict, to wait. They'll wait till you show up to court, and they will call SHRA because there's a hotline, and then they'll get that intervention, and that eviction will be put on hold until the judge makes a decision. So that's good news. So there's two questions with that. So that is excellent. That gave me a lot of comfort. So thank you for that, and thank you for explaining it well. I think that I was pretty accurate, it looks like, I think, on the steps. But I am concerned about how well that information is getting out to the public to know not to panic. I also like to know, since there are 2,000 calls a day, do all those calls get responded to? Because, and if that information isn't getting out, as well as one would like to, maybe it may be good to go to the media and get it on the news and say, hey, get the word out. As executive director, Dozier, I'm saying, don't panic. We're here to help. Our volume is at 2,000 calls a day, but here's what you need to know. So those are three areas that I am curious about that I think are extremely important, because I'd hate to see someone get evicted because of lack of information.
So in fact, that is something that we're working on in terms of communication about where we are with the program and some of the things that we're seeing in terms of the volume. You are fortunate because you get the first preview in terms of making sure we get that information out, but we will be doing exactly what you're saying. It's, is to make sure that we communicate exactly what the process is, the steps, but also, just the sheer volume and number of people who have made an application, so that they understand that the queue is long, but we're working methodically through it. But we, like all organizations right now, we're no different. We have impacts due to COVID, just like restaurants and businesses and everywhere. So it's just a real difficult time in terms of, making sure that we have all of the resources available to us. But the staff is working extremely hard and doing an excellent job, given, the constraints that we have. And yes, you're right. We will be having more of a public communication about exactly what I'm talking about. I have Sarah here. Was there something you wanted to add, or did I kind of cover it, or?
Hello, everyone. Yes, absolutely. That is exactly what I've been working on today. We also want to put it on our website, as well as communicate with other organizations as well. So that way the landlords also know not to panic, such as the California Apartment Association and various other organizations. We will work with our partner agencies to let them know as well.
Oh, that's great, that the written and the social media. What about, to Channel 3, 10, Univision, Telemundo, what's the other ones? That I think would be terrific. And I was just curious if there's a commitment or a date, or there must be someone who's reaching out to media. I'm sure media would make a beeline to have an interview with one of you, so that talk could be had. It's super important. It's to me, it would be just as important as the mayor or the president or someone else, because you guys are the leaders and the public needs to know. And if they hear it from you, that will give some comfort. So, I'm just curious to see if that has taken place, and if not, when, or is that under consideration?
So we'll be evaluating that. Right now, we're trying to make sure that people are really focused on the wait list, because sometimes if we start talking emergency rental system, we start talking the wait list, we start talking about, tenant-based voucher, people get very confused about, the message. So we are going to take a look at that in terms of, making sure that we get the information out and through what channels. But right now, really our big message and push is on that wait list, which we only have another week to go. And then we also want to make sure as we're communicating kind of where we are and the next steps. And we do need a little bit more data before we really roll out to the media exactly how some of the decisions that we'll make on the emergency rental assistance program is. But you are right. Once we have all of that, we kind of get past this, then that would be excellent opportunity.
For the media. Okay, so media is under consideration. Okay, great.
Absolutely.
TV, excellent. Thank you.
Mr. Boyd, you have your hand up.
Thank you, Chair. I do have a couple of questions. I may be circling back, obviously, because I missed the presentation, but in regards to the vouchers, 2 questions. Prior to the release of the current voucher, of the voucher list opening up, how many vouchers were already out there in hand waiting for a place to move into?
Are you referring to how many are out with a voucher looking for housing at this time?
Correct. Prior to the opening up of the wait list.
I would say approximately 1,100-ish is, again, that's a point in time number, but around that number is the number of households that are looking for housing at this time.
Thank you. The next question, was there a onslaught of rental property owners that approached SHRA and said, hey, I have space, and to which prompted this new release of housing, or the waiting list for housing vouchers to open up?
No, the reason we are opening up the wait list is because our wait list numbers are getting low. And Lachelle did talk a little bit about that, is that, we pull families off the wait list. And when that number gets low, we make the decision of when we need to open the wait list. And typically we put enough families that we can serve within a 3 to 4 year period. And we last opened in 2018. And so our list was getting low enough that we felt that we needed to replenish it. And that's why we opened up. We wish we had more owners that were had housing for our families.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it.
All right. Any other questions? That takes us to the chair report. Thank you once again. I appreciate your support, and I'll try not to let you down or tell you too many bad jokes.
You have to strategically be absent, so you give Commissioner Manford chances with the gavel.
I will be gone for a week. I'm leaving Saturday. I'll be up in Portland for a week, and I'll be back
in time for the next meeting.
Yeah, well, I may let, depending on how things go, I may let Emmanuel chair the next meeting.
Okay.
Because I'm going up on the 27th is my dad's funeral. He was 92. If he lasted till February 6th, he would have been 93. So lived a long time, had a good life, was in good spirits pretty much up to the end. Since November 17th, we knew we were going to lose him. It was just a matter of which cycle. And so we're not crying too heavily. I inherited his website and have to maintain it for 5 years, according to the will. So I've got a job to do still. But so I will be back on the 29th. And that means, Vicky, if I need to sign anything, we should do it either before.
This meeting, there was nothing, so you're good.
The consent item.
Oh, right, yeah.
And the tax exempt just go straight to.
Yeah, there's no commission. Yeah, I'll get you the other one.
Okay, excellent. So yeah, I don't think there's any immediacy up on the consent item. So we need to take care of that before I go or after I come back. It shouldn't be an issue. So with that,
I'm very sorry to hear about your loss as well.
Yes. Sorry about your loss, Gail.
it's
Certainly.
when somebody lives that long, it's you're not shocked or falling off, going, what happened? You know, because it's expected by then. You know, I don't expect to live that long. I don't. I'll just say that. So, questions and comments of commissioners. Martin.
I'm on a roll today, so let me start off with, in my former pastoral, I still do it, roles. I always tell people, and when I lost my mom about a year ago, I said, remember the gifts. You know, celebrate life, remember the gifts. Unfortunately, we all go the way of the earth, as David said, King David said to Solomon. But in the homegoing tradition that my family has from Arkansas and so forth, it's a celebration of life. So if he was a good man, good leader or so, celebrate the gifts, and those can be passed down and cherished forever, and you'll see them again. So those are my thoughts there. I believe they're real, and that's given me comfort because I didn't know whether I would actually believe that fully, because it had not happened to me, you know, that directly. But it was my mom's. It was a celebration, and we had a, what do you call it, line dance and whatnot, electric slide deal even at the park afterwards, and she would have enjoyed that. So I don't know if that's in your tradition, electric slides, but nonetheless, remember the gifts. My other point is, and I put it in the comment section, I'm always a believer of this. Commissioner Amanfor has just slightly fewer gray hairs than you do, Commissioner Morgan. So with that, it's always good, I think, to trade places for a little bit to help cultivate future leaders. So give him a shot, you know, once or twice a year, so he can get his feet wet, so he can do just as good of a job as you do in the event that you may be on Hawaii or something on the beach, and you just said, I'm going to take a break this time, and so he can do it. So,
if I'm in Hawaii,
what's that?
If I'm in Hawaii, I'll probably log on.
Okay. but you might be too swaying a little bit to handle the meeting. So you might say, Commissioner, this Mai Tai is too good. Maybe Amanfor, you better take the helm for a minute.
You know, if I'm in Hawaii, I'll probably log in, but I'll probably cede the chairship for that meeting.
Okay, all right.
So
thank you. Good meeting, everyone. I appreciate it. Happy New Year.
Okay, any other comments of commissioners? See no hands. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. We are adjourned.
Thank you.